Hi, my name is Ray McCaig. Welcome back to the second video of the series of videos I'll be creating on the maptyler.com website. So at the end of the last video we had created a map of Aberdeen, and the next step of that process is to reassemble these tiles into a single image. In our case it'll be 4 images because there'll be one for each layer that was created. So I'm going to log in, and to get to your order that you purchased, go to the account area and orders, and then the order that you created here, you can then download these tiles. So I'm going to download these, and they will go into your downloads folder. So I'll start doing a download. In a future release, my plan is to zip these images up into a single file, and all you need to download is a zip file. But for this version, it is each tile comes down individually into your downloads folder. It doesn't take long. We're approaching halfway already, and that's 504 tiles. Now, just to put this in context, if you were going to use a tool such as Snazzy Maps, this would take you a minimum of 51 days to get this tile data. 504 tiles, you can only download 10 per day, 50.4 days, so 51 days it would take you to get these tiles. So it's busy working. We're nearly done. So this will end up in your downloads folder. I'm just going to get my downloads folder up here. And I'll show you that in a second. And what I tend to do is, ahead of time, I tend to prepare a folder where I'm going to store these map tiles. So I'll just move this out of the way just now. And as you can see here, in my downloads folder, here are all of the tiles now that have been downloaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them. I'm going to scroll down here until I get to this area here. That's the last one. And if I just make sure I've got them all. No, scrolling the wrong thing there. There we go. We're fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these across onto my folder where I'm going to store these map tiles. So the next step really is to take a note of some numbers. You're going to need a few numbers, okay? What I'm going to use here is the Maptyler website to help us out here. We're going to just minimize that just now. I'm going to close this, and we're going to go to tile overlaps. Okay, and what tile overlaps does is it helps us to find out what the actual pixel overlap of the tiles are. And the way we do this is, I'll just partially overlay this, is you pick, I usually use the side streets layer for this because it's the most populated. But the idea is you pick 2 tiles from one row and 2 tiles from the row directly beneath. Okay, so that was okay. So 7 and 8. So there we go. 2 7, 2 8, and 3 7 and 3 8. So if I drag those over here, and 3 7 and 3 8, you can hear my dogs in the background barking. There must be a cat in the garden. So what we're going to do here is we're going to overlay these tiles, and as you can see, there's a nice jump there that tells you they're not quite overlaid properly. And we use these buttons here down on the right to help with that. So you've got small jumps and large jumps. So if I click this, you can see that these are now closer together. And what we do is, you can see here, just by moving the mouse back and forward, that we're not overlapping yet. We've gone too far. So if I bring this back, in fact I hadn't gone far enough, sorry. We're still out by a little bit. There we go, perfectly aligned. So 68 in the horizontal. Okay, and on the vertical, basically we want to bring this up so it marries up with that. So if I just do that, and I think we've probably gone too far there, just bring it back. It's not quite right yet. There we go. That's then perfectly aligned, right? So 68 and 74. So the best thing to do here is just to take, so the horizontal overlap is going to be 68 pixels. The vertical overlap is going to be 74 pixels. We need two other numbers. As you go back into your account and go back to your orders, you need to know how many rows and columns there are, right? So we'll just add that. So rows is 15 and columns is 12. And these numbers you're going to need later on. So now that we have that overlap information regarding the, I was double checking there because that looks wrong, but that must belong to something else. Right, so there is another part to this, and that is the reassembly of these tiles back into a single image. You can do this manually. There's no doubt about it, you can do it manually. I did it manually for a long time until I decided that I was fed up spending the amount of time that it took to align a large number of tiles. And I mean, on a map this size, it could literally take a week or more to get all these 500 plus tiles aligned correctly. So I created this Photoshop plugin that makes that task a lot easier. Now, if I go into Photoshop, I'll pull Photoshop over here. If you do purchase my plugin, thank you very much. But if you go to the plugins menu, Map Tile Stitcher, and we open up that my plugin. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start the stitching process. So create a new map document, and that pops up the UI. And what we do is the numbers that we took before, we're going to plug these in. So 12 by 15 number of rows, that's correct, and our horizontal overlap is 68 and our vertical overlap is 74. The size of the tiles are always the same at 1280 by 1280, and if I hit the create button here, it will create a Photoshop document that's large enough to take all the tiles for a single layer. So the next step is to deal with each layer, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the tiles for this layer, and what we'll do is we'll do the arterial layer first. There we go. So if I scroll down here until we've got all of the arterial tiles, so there we go, there's all of the arterial tiles, and you press open. What that does is the plugin is now inserting each of those tiles at the correct location. And just while it's doing that, we can have a little chat about the naming convention used for the tiles themselves. So you've got your map name, Aberdeen, you've got the layer name, which was Side Streets in this case, and the two numbers represent the column and the row. So row first and then the column. And using the information that you've already given it for the size of the tiles, their overlap, the row and column information that you gave it from your order, then Photoshop can then reassemble that entire layer back into a single image. There we go. So if I just zoom in on an area, let's say we zoom in here, you can see it's a perfectly coherent image. And as you can see, there are where we didn't download a tile, right? So we're seeing the bottom of these tiles that contain maybe a little square there. Once you've converted this to an SVG file using something like Inkscape or Illustrator, then these are easily removed. So let's zoom out and let's do the next one. So let's cancel that, create a new map document. It'll remember the numbers from before. We create a new document. I'm going to select the tiles again. It remembers the folder we were in before, so I'll just scroll down here until we get to highway. So click highway and scroll down until we get to the end of highway, which is there. Add these in, and now it's going to inject those 52 tiles into this image at the correct location based on the row and column information that it had in the file name. And there we go. There's the main roads, all looking pretty good. And the next one we'll do is the busiest one, really. So create a new map tile, and what we're going to do this time, so let's delete that one. That's not what we wanted. Let's delete that. So select that, and then what we're going to do, we're going to come down to the side streets. Scroll down until we get to the end of the side streets and open that. And this one is probably the one that will take the longest because it's having to load 157 tiles into this image. But just by watching this work away and automating the process of bringing all these tiles in, lining them all up in the correct positions, the amount of time this will save you when creating your map tiles is just huge. So if I zoom in on an area, you can see that they, down to the smallest detail level, all correctly aligned. Just move around. There's the docks. Yeah. It's all looking really, really nice. And then the last one we want to create is the water layer. So if we select the tiles again, and what we'll do is we'll just go down to the water layer. Let's get the first water layer here. We'll do that one. I don't know why it's downloaded that one twice, but let's load that one there, and we'll open that up. And this one is now downloading all of the water tiles. So in a matter of minutes, we have done what literally would have taken probably a week or more manual effort to stitch all of these tiles together. So let's see what this end result is. So it's almost done. Please do let me know in the comments what you think of this process, and also your own experiences of creating maps and the pain points behind creating maps, because that's the whole purpose of what this website is to make the whole job a lot easier to fulfill. So as you can see here, If I just zoom in, we've got all of the water layer, as well as the the sea part out there. And what you do is just that's there's a lot clearer here. For example, there's some of the Google branding there. You don't really want that in your final image. So what I tend to do here is, once it's converted to SVG, I'll just go around and I'll just select these and delete them. It's a lot easier to do once you've got your SVG file. It's usually, if you've got an entire map, a full map, it's usually the bottom. You can see it all right along the bottom here. These are the ones that you most need to clean up, and that's an easy one. Even here, what you would do, you would just crop it here, so they didn't even become part of your SVG file. Just crop your image, which is what I tend to do. So there you go. There's the process of creating a coherent image from all of the, in this case, that was 162 tiles that made up the water layer. It took 58 seconds, so 1 minute to create that one layer. 162 tiles. So 4 layers probably took less than 5 minutes to create. So a week or more of work if you were doing it manually down to 5 minutes. I would say that's an incredible amount of time saving. So please do let me know in the comments what you think, and I shall see you in the next video. Thank you very much.